In today's video, we are going to look at Scrum Master's role and responsibilities. And yes, welcome back to the thetechyned blog. Hope all we've shared in the past, they've been of good use to you. And if yes, kindly subscribe, comment, and share. So we're looking at Scrum Masters, what we actually do as Scrum Master. So it's good to know that the Scrum Master is a key role in Agile and Scrum frameworks, acting as a servant leader, coach, and facilitator who ensures that the Scrum team and the wider organization fully embrace and practice Agile principles. So you are serving the Scrum team and also you're serving the wider organization, okay? Agile unlike a traditional project manager, the Scrum Master does not direct or command the team, but instead empowers them to be self-organizing, collaborative, and focused on delivering value. So you are not like the traditional project manager, okay? Your role is actually different and your responsibilities as well. By removing the impediment, fostering continuous improvement, and serving as a bridge between the team, the product owner, and the stakeholders, the Scrum Master plays a vital role in creating an environment where high performing teams can thrive and deliver business value consistently. So you are like a bridge, a go between the development team, the product owner, the stakeholders. Okay, so looking at the agenda for today is simply for us to look at Scrum Master as the servant leader, as the coach, the mentor, the facilitator, the change agent, the guardian of the Scrum and agility, a strategic partner, a continuous improvement agent or catalyst. So, starting with Scrum Master as a servant leader and team enabler. So, one, you act as a servant leader by prioritizing team needs above personal or organizational control. I always say this, it is all about the job, it is all about the project. Okay, so there is nothing personal. So here you have to be on guard, you have to prioritize what the team needs to function, to deliver value and all whatnot. Okay, oh, and you build trust, okay, psychological safety and collaboration with the team. So you try as much as possible, to bring all those your soft skills in play to build trust so that people can approach you. You create that air around you, okay, and also psychological safety. Your environment won't be toxic, your team won't be toxic. People are able to collaborate, people are able to speak up when they have ideas. Empower the development team to be self-managing and accountable. So it is your job as a Scrum Master to empower your team so that they would be self-managing. Okay, when you have issues, whether it's conflict, whether it has to do with development, you are able to solve it internally, and also you hold yourself accountable. Maybe for sprints, make sure you deliver on your sprints. Okay, then promote cross-functional learning and T-shaped skills. Yes, cross-functional learning. For example, in your development team, you have your maybe developer A doing something, and you see that developer A is actually good at this. Okay, what you would do is you try as much as possible to get developer A to teach or transfer this knowledge to B, C, and D. And as well, when you see an opportunity within the team, maybe a learning opportunity, you try to see how you can bring the training into your team so that everybody would be on the same page, on the same level. Okay, now recognizes and celebrates individual and team achievements. So you are not just pushing your team to do the work or to get deliveries out. Also recognize when you have wins. At the end of the sprint, some would do team bonding at the end of the sprint. Some would before you, as little as before you even start the next sprint, you try to recognize what the team has done. Maybe for example, some of your team members, they've gone on a course to study stuff and they are back, and you also like you put in that word, like you use good words like oh, good work, like we have a great team and stuff like that. There's something it does to the mind, but when you start it, you'd understand better. As a Scrum Master, you are a facilitator of Scrum events. We have the Scrum event, the planning, the retrospective, the review, and all what. You are the facilitator, okay? You ensure all Scrum ceremonies whether it's the sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, retrospective, happen effectively. So that means you have to plan those events, you have to meet with your product owner to refine the backlog and stuff like that. And at the same time, you make sure that they happen effectively on time. You start early, you end when you're supposed to end. You have people contributing and all whatnot. So keeps meetings time boxed, focused, and outcome driven. So you make sure that you keep your meetings to time, you keep everyone on focus, make sure people don't derail, and also, you have feedbacks or outcome as expected. You also facilitate backlog refinement, story mapping, and release planning workshops. So before your sprint planning, or even before while the sprint planning is going on, you and your product owner, you meet to look at what you have in the backlog, you refine it, and also you do your story mapping and all whatnot. Mediate conflicts and keeps discussions constructive. Yes, there will be conflict, there will be issues. So you are the person that will come in the middle and know how to de-escalate, know how to get the Scrum team to solve this issue. Okay, it's not something that we have to explode over. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's look at this way. So promotes consensus driven decision making. So make sure that everyone align. You meet yourself in the center. Okay, you decide on something collectively. Okay, so that you'll be able to move on from there. So also we are moving on to the Scrum Master as a coach, mentor, and teacher. Coach, mentor, and teacher. So you're not only coaching people to adapt to the Scrum framework, you are also mentoring them to understand why they are doing this, so that it will be a way of life for them. And as well, you are teaching them how to keep to the framework, whether it's the organization, whether it is your team members, even whether it's maybe project managers or business analysts in the same organization. Okay, so the Scrum Master coaches the team, the product owner, stakeholders, and leaders on agile principles. Yes, you coach them on your sprints, your events, the Scrum ways, and how to adapt to Scrum. Also teaches new members about Scrum rules, artifacts, and event. For example, when you have new members in the organization on your Scrum team, you try to onboard them. Okay, you try to, for example, you have new developers that are not used to Scrum. You teach them about this. You also provide resources or materials for them to learn as well. Mentors individuals on accountability, growth, and agile mindset. So on individual basis, also you mentor your team on accountability. When you say you are going to, let's say you're going to deliver on this, you deliver. When you've been given this task or assignment, you deliver. Also, you mentor them on growth. Okay, like for example, when you started in the first sprint, you can't compare yourself from the first sprint to the fifth sprint. There must be an element of growth, and also having that agile mindset. Okay, having that flexible mindset. Okay, then also encourages continuous learning through workshops, knowledge sharing, and communities of practice. Yes, you as a Scrum Master, you have to encourage continuous learning, whether it's within your team, the organization. You organize workshops. For example, when you are on the online surfing the net and you see materials or resources that will be of good use to your team members or even the organization, you can always push that out. Okay, so for people to go through and learn about Scrum and know more about Scrum. Then also coaches product owner on backlog management, vision clarity, and stakeholder collaboration. So it is also your role or responsibility to coach your product owner, because you have to work hand in hand with your product owner on, for example, backlog management, how they can manage the backlog, so that to give them value or you see value, and also vision clarity. For example, in a sprint, and people will be like asking, okay, what is the goal of this sprint and stuff like that. So it is your work, to mentor, to coach the product owner on how to go about, okay, getting having a goal, or even the Scrum team. Okay, let's decide what we want to achieve at the end of the sprint, and even your stakeholders in terms of collaboration, whether you are using the collaborative tools, or also whether you are meeting them on workshops and stuff like that. Protector and shield. Oh yes, shield the team from external distraction and interruptions. Yeah, at times when you start a sprint, your product owner or even a stakeholder in the organization, that is why also you have to mentor people to understand. We come and say, oh, we want to add this task to your sprint, and the sprint is already running. And yes, Scrum encourages flexibility, but know that you have to look at the impact, and at the same time you know how you can like advise the stakeholder. Okay, whether we have a process, why don't we put this in the backlog so that when we now come to the next sprint we can take this up. Okay, so you have to know how to have these conversations, because you are not only trying to support the stakeholder, you're also trying to shield your development team from distractions, because a lot of it will come. Okay, also protect the team from scope creep and last minute changes. Yes, just like I said, when you start a sprint, you have your stakeholder coming forward with more changes. Okay, ensures a sustainable pace to prevent burnout. Oh yes, at times there may be requirements or there may be need for your Scrum team to work during weekends. And when you look at, yes, some of the developers, they are open to it, but you don't want them to burn out. So it is now your duty to advise your stakeholders or your team that, okay, we've been working weekends back to back. At this point, maybe we can, take a break. Okay, let's like move this to another time. Okay, guard the sprint goal from distractions and unnecessary reprioritization. Yes, at the beginning of the sprint, you may say, okay, this is our sprint goal. But as time goes on, you see that stuff starts changing, okay? And new changes come in and stuff like that. It is your duty to safeguard that sprint goal so that it doesn't change. Because when it changes or when you allow some stuffs to start creeping in and stuff like that, you know that there will be confusion. At a point, your developers may walk up to you and tell you, we don't know what we are doing again. We don't even think we'll be able to deliver on this because you have taken this and that on board without considering the risk involved. And then impediment remover. That is your work, your responsibility as a Scrum Master. So you identify and remove obstacles that block team progress. Yes, for example, during your daily stand up and you have your developer say, oh, blocked here and there. I can't move on apart if I don't get this person on board to show me this, or this person on board to, or work on this code or that code. What do? You have to unblock your developer at that point. So after they stand up, you have to go and search out or look for the person that needs to support your developer, or the person that maybe the task is dependent on, okay? Or whether it is from the organization or whatnot. So you also resolve dependencies within and across the teams. For example, your developer A is on VL and your developer B needs something from your developer A. So you have to like put heads together, because it is not ethical to, start contacting someone who is on VL. So what do? You have to sort it out within the team, then escalate systemic issues to leadership. So at times things can blow out of proportion. At times there would be issues coming from stakeholders, and maybe some of these stakeholders, they don't understand Scrum framework. Maybe they try to push some certain task inside a sprint and stuff. And you had series and series of meetings or conversations with them to try to onboard them on the Scrum framework and stuff, and it's not working. And maybe you start getting threats and all whatnot. So at this point, you have to discuss this with maybe the project manager in charge of that project, or even take it a step further to leadership. So also improves team productivity by proactively eliminating friction points. So there could be friction points, just like we mentioned earlier. So you have to be proactive. And being proactive it means that you have to be like attentive, you have to be present, because at times this wouldn't come physically, this wouldn't come like immediately. You have to sense it. So that means you need to be on top of your game here. So process guardian and agile steward. Yes, ensure Scrum is understood and practiced correctly. So it's not about knowing Scrum. For example, I came across this simulator where the question was like, okay, if an organization like, okay, say like, let's practice Scrum, but they don't change the process, they don't change nothing. Does anything change? No, nothing changes. So you ensure that Scrum is understood, and also not just understood, but practiced correctly. And how would you know? It is from the feedback you get, okay? How people do stuff, the process, and all whatnot. Now, prevent Scrum bots or Scrum fall, using the Scrum terms, but keeping waterfall mindset. Yes, this is the same thing. For example, we are practicing Scrum, but at the same time, we are using waterfall. It's not the same. Okay, so it has to be Scrum or no Scrum. So it has to be this way or that way. Making sure that, for example, during your sprint planning, it's supposed to be so your sprint supposed to be 2 weeks. You're now the sprint is now entering 3 months. No, that is not Scrum. Okay, helps define and enforce definition of done and definition of ready. So making sure that okay, you have this like okay, this at the beginning of the sprint. Remember that you have to define what when we get to this point, what defines our product or what we're doing as it's done and also is ready for release or whatever. So you have to define this so that when the developers are doing their work, they know when at which point they get to they know that this is ready or this product is done. Okay, promote agile engineering practices, that is continuous integration, continuous development, code reviews, automated testing. Yes, at a point you have to do all this when you, for example, your team they mature to a certain level. So maybe you have seniors developers and you now start enforcing continuous development whereby you churn out product at a particular velocity. So adopt Scrum practices pragmatically to team and organizational contexts. So it's still telling us that you adopt Scrum 100%, no more, no less. Change agent and cultural influencer. Exactly. Remember that in each of the organization you come into, there is a culture, and also you are coming in as a change agent as well. So you are trying to influence, you are trying to change stuff. Okay, so drives cultural transformation towards openness, trust, and agility. So you try to drive people to be open, to trust one another, and agility. And it starts with you. Okay, everybody looks at you, so you try to encourage this culture among people in your team or the organization. Then promote experimentation, innovation, and learning from failure. Yes, because Scrum is done according to what you've experienced, according to ideas and all whatnot. So, for example, the team may say, okay, let's try it this way and see how it works. Yes, that is them being trusting their ability, being open and knowing that, okay, we can actually do this and it is fine to fail. Okay. And that means if we fail, we have another way we know we can do it better. Also innovation and learning from failure. So helps leaders shift from command and control to empowerment and enablement. Yes, at times your stakeholders who are not actually or haven't really come to that level of understanding when it comes to Scrum, they want to impose stuff on the team. So it is your work to try to teach them that you empower the team and you enable the team. You don't command them to do this and stuff like that. So also you advocate for business agility across non-IT areas. Yes, you are going to work with people from HR, finance, marketing, and all whatnot. So you need to, teach them, you need to encourage them, you need to like let them know that there is more to being agile. Okay, because they look at you as the IT people, we don't want to but it is your work to bring them closer. Also encourages alignment between business goals and delivery team. Make sure that the goal of the business is aligned with that of delivery team, vice versa. Whatever you are, churning out aligns with what business has asked for from the very get-go. So now, stakeholder and product owner support. Support product owner in backlog prioritization and stakeholder management. Yes, you help the product owner, organize about what you have in the backlog and also your stakeholder management, because in that part you are trying to coach the stakeholders to understand Scrum. Okay, ensure stakeholders understand incremental delivery and agile value delivery. Yes, for example, they will be like, why are we just delivering these things in bits? We need everything to come out at once. No, it is your job to, coach them, to mentor them, to understand that this is the Scrum framework and that is what we are following. Bridges communication gaps between business and development. Yes, like there would be a lot of gap. Now it is your work to bring everyone together. It is your work to talk to business, bring them to the level to understand what you are doing. Also do same for your development team. Facilitate workshops for the vision, roadmap and release planning. There will be a lot of workshop for you to facilitate. So it is just for you to, teach people or do your, events, also do other events that need to happen as you are doing your sprint. Okay. Help stakeholder interpret agile metrics correctly when it comes to your measurement and stuff like that. You help stakeholders to interpret those metrics, okay, whether it's your KPI or your what you need to, achieve. Matrix transparency and reporting. This is very important. So promote transparency through information radiators, track and educate teams on useful metrics, velocity, careful not as performance measures, cycle time and lead time, sprint goal success rate, defect density and quality trends, customer satisfaction and business value delivery, promote evidence-based management. The only thing it's saying here is please be transparent in your reporting. Whether it is your burn down chart or burn up chart, let your stakeholders know when something is wrong so that they will know when they need to come in. Conflict mediator, there will be conflict, so you need to step in. Resolve conflict between team members, product owner, and stakeholders, promote healthy debates to reach constructive outcomes, de-escalate tension and find win-win solutions, uses facilitation techniques. Yes, there will be conflict. So it could be a conflict within your development team that you bring everybody to the table, say, let's have a talk, okay? Maybe during your retrospective, okay, let's discuss about this, or even during team bonding, let's settle this within ourselves. And see, you have to engage them in such a way that they will be able to settle this issue by themselves internally, not coming in. No, because they are self-managing. Then if it's within the organization, also know where you to stand, okay, and stand firm at the same time. So you have to mediate conflict, you have to de-escalate and all whatnot. Now, continuous improvement driver. So you facilitate retrospective to generate actionable improvement, ensures follow-up on retrospective action items, encourages Kaizen, small continuous improvements and all whatnot, promotes root cause analysis, encourages experimentation with new practices, framework and tools. So remember that when you get to your, retrospective, you're looking at what we did right, what we didn't do right, and how we can improve. That is continuous improvement because you are getting feedback. You are also doing a root cause analysis of maybe what you got wrong and all whatnot. So it is your job to drive this, okay, at the end of the day. Now, strategic and organizational partner. So aligns teamwork with organizational vision, goals and KPIs, coaches executive and leadership on agile mindset and benefits, advocates for agile-friendly policies, supports scaling frameworks, helps manage risk and dependencies at program and profile levels. Yes, make sure that whatever you guys are doing is aligned with the strategic plan of the organization. And if it's not aligned, you need to escalate this. You need to see how you can bring this back. And at the same time, it is your job to coach leadership on agile. Okay, knowledge enabler and community builder. Yes, organizes agile workshop, boot camps, and training, encourages creation of internal communication of practice, and also promotes continuous onboarding and mentoring of new hires, guide the use of agile tools. Yes, very important. Jira, Confluence. So you teach people, you guide people on how to use these tools. Guardian of sustainability. Promotes balance between delivery speed and technical quality, encourages addressing technical debt regularity, ensures team maintains a healthy work-life balance, promote long-term sustainable agility over short-term quick wins. You are the guardian of sustainability. So you have to promote work-life balance, because when people don't have work-life balance, there's no way they can produce effective result, right? So you need to watch out for all these things. Now, innovator and system thinker helps the team and organization adopt lean principles. Lean tells you that we don't like waste. So wherever you see waste, no, we get rid of that. Okay, we try to save more. So encourages blending of frameworks, whether it's you're using Scrum and Kanban, where useful. Okay, there are some situations where you have to combine. So identify systemic bottlenecks across value streams. Yes, in some organizations, that is why you have to coach people. There would be a lot of bottleneck, maybe when it comes to approvals, documentation, and so whatnot. Helps leadership think beyond team level agility to enterprise agility. Oh, this is on scale level. So you help team leaders not just to see now, but to see where we are going in future. So in conclusion, in essence, the Scrum Master is far more than a meeting facilitator. Please, you are not just there for the sprint planning to facilitate all those meetings. No, they are the servant leader, coach, and change agent who empowers teams, enables the product owner, supports stakeholders, and drives organizational agility. So you are an enabler. So by removing impediments, fostering collaboration, and ensuring adherence to Scrum values and principles, the Scrum Master helps create an environment where teams can innovate, adapt, and deliver value continuously. It is your work to create that enabling environment, okay? Their ultimate responsibility is to nurture a culture of transparency. Things has to be open. Trust, people need to trust one another, to be able to open up, to come up with ideas and continuous improvement. There would always be changes and stuff like that. So that the organization not only delivers product effectively, but also evolves towards true business agility. So, hope all we've done today they've been of good use to you. And if yes, kindly subscribe, comment, share. Thank you.